Hi, I'm Eric, and I wanted to give you a little background and introduction to a project that my friend Nick and myself made for a recent Chingu voyage, Voyage 8. So Chingu, if you're not familiar, is a group of developers that get together and build projects together to kind of build skills and build community. So really happy to be a part of that. And this is what we did for our Voyage 8 project. So we were Bears Team 38, and I was going to walk through and kind of give you an insight on what our project was, how it works, and some back end information. So it makes it a little more interesting to see kind of how something came together, the thought process, and if you do any projects like this, it's kind of a good idea to maybe do some videos so people can see what it is that it takes to build some of the projects that you have, instead of just putting a live link out there and people look at it and they don't really get what they're looking at. So hopefully that comes across in this video. If you have questions afterwards, reach out to Nick or myself. We'd be happy to answer any more questions. So we'll start with this, just our GitHub repo. This is just the README. We'll get through this pretty quick. We'll try to get through just to kind of give you an idea of what the video is about, give you an intro, a little information about the project, go through the stack that we used to build the project, some of the thought process we had with what we chose, little dip into the front end. We'll show you kind of how the app sets up, what it does, some of the choices we made there. There's a couple of back end things that we've done, and how we tie the front to the back end and stuff. So start with the README here. So this is obviously for the Chingu project, Chingu cohort. We chose this project because we thought there's a lot of cool videos similar to this one. There's a lot of AMA videos that come in the Chingu community. There's a lot of tutorials that come across, and we thought it'd be cool to take all those and give you one place to put them together. It was Nick's idea to call this the Chingu video portal, or I'm sorry, the learning portal instead of a video portal. So we thought maybe in the future we'd expand and have some of the Medium articles and other things hosted on there as well. There is a live link on Heroku. Being a Heroku app, if you're not familiar with them, they only spin the app up once you access it. So if it hasn't been opened in a while, it does take several seconds to load the first time. That's just Heroku building the app up as you request it. Some dependencies here. We use Husky as a pre-commit hook, and what that does is every time you hit a commit onto Git or into GitHub, it will run. We had it running ESLint and Prettier, so that everything we committed, it was linted and ran through Prettier before it would commit it, which was kind of nice. It keeps your project standardized across whoever's working on it. Go through our stack here real quick that we use. We use the Mern stack. So Mern, the M is MongoDB and Mongoose. We chose this time to go with the Atlas. So instead of the standard MongoDB MLab, we went with Atlas. So neither one of us had used this before. It's a really cool tool. There's a lot of really cool features. It's a bit overkill if you're just making a little app, but we'd never use it, so we thought we'd give it a go. Lots of time reading through their material, sometimes getting down into your collections and figuring out how to connect things. You have to like whitelist IP addresses and stuff. So if you're not familiar with it, it may take you a little bit of time, but once you get it up and rolling, it's not too bad, and there's a lot of cool features. So that's the M. E is Express.js. That's just your server software. It makes a little simple server to handle HTTP requests. R is React. So React's a very popular JavaScript library or framework, if you want to call it that. Most people bootstrap with React, create React app. We chose to go with our own boilerplate. So I actually made a boilerplate previous to this project and just kind of tried to configure Webpack and Babel myself. And we thought we'd use that instead of the Create React app. It's a little bit lighter. I will tell you that unless you just really want to get into Webpack and Babel and plugins and configurations, Create React app does a great job right out of the box. So I would highly recommend that unless you really just are looking to get into the documentation on Webpack and stuff. And then of course the N in the Mern stack is Node.js, which is the environment that you're working in. So different languages and stuff that we use there. We use that React boilerplate. So got through that. This is the project we ended up with. So this is just the landing page. We went for a true single page app. It is not routed. There's no routes or anything. It's literally just one page that the UI updates and changes with user interaction. So there's nothing that links to other pages or other sites. It's literally this is what you're working with here. So pretty straightforward. You have the main area at the top that's going to host the main video. This is where you can watch the video that you have pulled up. It's going to default to right now to the newest one in the queue. To the left we have a playlist, and you can sort through the videos based on their playlist title, or the category, I'm sorry, we'd call those playlists. And here it's actually going to show you right now. I have the tutorial videos pulled up, and there's 12 of those. AMAs, right now we have 9. We don't have all the videos loaded yet because we had to manually find some of them. They're not all on the Chingu YouTube page, so that's kind of another reason we made this centralized place for them. So you can sort through all those. If you go to all, we have 39 total videos available right now. And then down here, of course, these are just the thumbnails, and you click on any of these and it will pull it up here as the main video. Quick little side note, an optimization that we need to work in, something we didn't get to yet, is each of these is just essentially a thumbnail. It really should just be a photo in here, or some kind of thumbnail picture. Right now it is literally just taking the embed link and making a smaller version of it. So I know it's a wasted network traffic and load up time, but that's an optimization we just didn't get to. We just made everything kind of pull in the same way and just reworked how it laid out there. So if these pull up a little slow, that's what it's doing. It's literally reloading these each time it gets a request to find them. So we're aware. Hey, there's another project right there. That's pretty cool. This is a really cool project, the habit tracker too, if you get a chance to come in here and check out that video from Voyage 8. Do this little dev tool thing here. I'm sorry, at the top you can search here, like if you want to search for any videos. Come on now. Search for any videos that have Jim in there. I don't think it liked that I had another video started and then tried to search. So search for videos with Jim in there, or you can clear that out and hit enter, and it's going to show us all the videos again. We'll get to the admin in just a few minutes. Let's pull this back up here. These uncaught errors down here are actually just these embed links. Sometimes they come up with strange errors that I haven't been able to track down any problems with, but it comes up and tells you anyway. We used grid to lay out a lot of this, the larger containers. You can see our grid lines up there at the top and on the side, and it just makes a lot of sense for the major layout to use grid. CSS grid is just a fantastic thing. We're using straight CSS3. There's no preprocessors, no Sass or less. We are using CSS variables. So the theme color here, this green, is pulled straight off the Chingu IO website, and the dark colors, there's a dark blue color and everything we use in a few places. Those are actually just variables, and I can show that to you on Atom here. So that's just in the main app we have on the root, which is the main container for a React app is the root. We have these different variables, and any one of these at any point, if I put that in as a variable, it'll pull up this color, and if I change this color at any point and resave it, then anything that has that color variable throughout the entire project that can see these will update. So if you're not using CSS3 and those variables, it's a great tool, and it's a real helpful tool to use. So that's kind of our layout. We did a mobile version. So mobile, it's going to look a little different. You scroll down, you can click on the Savvy there, pop you back up, and now you can watch a video with Savvy in it. Got our playlist where they pull down here. There's that dark blue at the top there that comes from the Chingu IO website. And this is another thing. It doesn't work quite as well on live as I'd like it to on a mobile, but this is a landscape view. It's a little different. It's got the videos on the side, main video here, and it only has the description of the video. It doesn't have all the tags and stuff. Just try to make it mainly the video with the option to get some other videos in there. So all that's done with just straight CSS, some media queries and things to get those to come up. The videos themselves, something that it's nice to have a video like this to kind of go through and show. This is the first time Nick or I ever used a centralized state management. So if you're familiar with React, familiar with Redux, React uses what they call state. So each component, each piece, like each one of these parts of the app are actually a different component in React, and then React kind of knits those together as needed and based on user interaction. So in each of these components, they have what they call state. So it has a memory of sorts. It remembers things for you, if we put it that way, and you can use that memory to hold information and recall information and key off changes and stuff. So instead of the traditional React pattern of the main app holds most of the state and then has to pass it down to child, which is called props drilling, we decided to go with a Redux style where you basically have a component that wraps around everything, holds all your state, and then you can use what's called context to grab that provided information anywhere. Instead of using Redux, though, we went into a new pattern using hooks. So again, another new thing to React, fairly new, is hooks. So hooks let you use things like state, lifecycle methods, context, those type of React terms in a more simplified, direct way without having to create classes and bloat the React class and all that stuff. So it's a lot simpler, more straightforward. So I found some great articles on basically building a reducer, putting it into a context. So it loads into a context here, then create a provider that takes that context. It's going to get an initial state, initialize a reducer, and then you can wrap that into whatever children that this kind of higher order component lives around. That's a lot of information to go through if you're not familiar with React. All that means is this thing here holds a bunch of information, and if any one of these components, like this nav is completely separate from the search, but both of them have to be able to filter out, it doesn't like Jim, both of them have to be able to filter out what I'm doing up here. So now we're back over to project videos and AMA. So search and the playlist have to be able to filter the main set of videos. So they both have to see the videos and be able to alter the videos. So when we use this centralized state, it holds the videos, and it also has, you can give the reducer a dispatch method, a dispatch that goes along with it, and that comes from the Redux terminology. So anywhere you pull up this context, it has a state, it has a global state, and it has a dispatch method that can go back up to that state and amend it and change it, update it through the reducer. So then anywhere, like in the nav, you just literally use context, pull that into React, and then you pull out, like I'm just pulling out the dispatch because the nav doesn't display any of the state, it just needs to change it with a filter. So all this is in the source code if you want to look through it. If you have questions on it, please let us know. But that was a pretty big piece of making this work that neither Nick or I had ever done. Took a lot of time to kind of get that going, but it made it a lot more fluid when we're building these components, all trying to talk to the same information, try to gather and change the same information. So that's the ins and outs of the front end and how that works. Now a little bit on the back end, we went over that we're using Atlas to store basically the information. The videos themselves are just embed links off YouTube, and then we're adding the tags, the description, all the stuff manually, so that it's not just pulling that in, because some of the descriptions, especially in the older videos, weren't real clear. And one other thing we built into the site that we're really proud of is this admin page. So there's just a simple login. Once you log in, it's not the sexiest form, it's not the coolest form right now. Could use some sprucing up, but you basically put in all the necessary information for these videos, and when you submit it, it will actually post to the back end. And then if you were to come back around, close this out, refresh, it will go fetch and it'll be there. So this is dynamically fetching from the database. You can go in through the admin portal, the admin login here, use this little modal, put all the information in there, make sure that the YouTube embed link matches the embed format for YouTube, everything else in just as you like it, and it will come back up and be displayed and filterable, searchable, just like any of the other videos. So that's a pretty, tried to get through that as quick as I could. I know it wasn't the shortest video, but that's why I like these ideas of these videos. Go through the project, show on a more in-depth level what it is, what makes it work, things like using Atlas for the first time, not using Create React App, building that Redux style centralized state with React hooks was a big win for us. Neither one of us, Nick or I, had ever done that. And then adding that admin modal to be able to have the ability to push these to the database and not have to manually pull up Atlas and put them in there was helpful as well. So we didn't get to some of the other style things and that optimization with the thumbnails that we wanted to, but we got pretty close to Nick's original idea. He did the initial layout and design, did a great job. We didn't get to some of the cool features he had planned, but we're really proud of the project so far. And if you have any other questions, comments, just reach out. Thank you for your time.